They started off making fun of it, calling it Bidenomics. Well, guess what? It is Bidenomics. We have a lot more to do to put our plan that's already paying off. This morning, we learned that the economy added 199,000 jobs again this month. Solid, steady job growth. Like that, we call a sweet spot that's needed for stable growth and lower inflation. America's had the strongest growth and now is the lowest inflation of any major economy in the world, but there's more to do.
Solid, steady job growth is how President Biden described November's jobs report today. In addition to the nearly 199,000 net new jobs that were added last month, the unemployment rate fell to 3.7%. Wages went up nearly 0.5% over the last month after ticking up 0.2% in October. These gains are outpacing inflation, which fell to 3.2%. Wall Street is loving it. So is your 401k. The S&P 500 hit its highest point this year today. The Dow closed up over 36,000, close to its all-time record high, which is also the record was also during the Biden presidency. So with all this good economic news, are Americans starting to feel better about the economy? Well, according to the University of Michigan, the answer is yes. They reported today that their measure of the monthly consumer sentiment index rose to 69.4, which is up more than 8 points from a month ago. Joining us now is Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. Mark, good to see you, my friend. You know, people talk about this, that the economy's in generally pretty good shape. There are always going to be little things that we have to deal with, and we still have to. It's still 8% to get a mortgage, but the economy's good. Wages are up. I think you tweeted today, job market's performance is extraordinary. Lots of jobs, steadfastly low unemployment, sturdy non-inflationary wage growth, rising participation, booming labor force growth. Nothing suggests a recession. But polls have been indicating that people seem to be slow to pick up on the idea that we're in a pretty good economy. Now this Michigan survey says people are starting to get the picture. Talk to me about the delay in response to a strong economy and how people feel about it.
Yeah, Ali, it's a good question. I mean, a lot of debate in the economics community about this. My sense is it's probably not one thing, but at the top of the list of things is people are paying a lot more for everything compared to 2 or 3 years ago. Staples like food and rent and gas, but pretty much everything. Now, inflation, as you pointed out, is moderating. That's the rate of increase in the prices for the goods and services that we buy. But that's after a period of very high inflation, very, very big increases in prices. So I think people are still struggling with that. If that's the right diagnosis, then if inflation continues to remain low and moderate, and I think all the trend lines look pretty good in that regard, I think people will steadily feel better as we move forward here. And that University of Michigan survey result you saw for the most recent month is, suggestive that people are starting to feel a little bit better and will feel even better as we move into 2024.
You make an interesting point about inflation. Prices are not going down. They're going up at a slower rate. So eggs are an example everybody uses a lot. Egg prices are actually lower than they were. But for a lot of things, they're still more expensive than they were 2 or 3 years ago. But we're at 3.2% on inflation at the moment. And there are a lot of people who think that's actually in the range of okay. It's higher than what the Fed talks about, but a lot of other countries in the world say that up to 3% is actually an okay space. At what point do people get used to the idea that wages are going up, prices are going up, but if they sort of go up in concert and as long as wages are ahead of prices, life will be good?
Yeah, I think it's going to take time. I think each month that this is the case, that wage growth continues to outpace the rate of inflation and people's so-called real income, their purchasing power improves, they'll feel better. I don't think it's, a game-changing event. I mean, it's not going to be like tomorrow I wake up and I feel better. It's going to be one of these things that, over time people feel more comfortable with the prices they're paying because their wages are up and they're, able to, purchase things more easily. So not something that happens overnight, but something that happens over a period of time. And my sense is if we're having this conversation a year from now, I think people will be feeling better about things and will recognize that, their wages are up compared to inflation.